Hello and welcome along to Off the Court podcast. I'm Jenna Brooks, and alongside me, I'm delighted to say Tamsin Greenway. Let me start by saying thank you for having me on this podcast.
No, this is brilliant because I actually get to chat lots of netball now, which is amazing. You'll have to shut me up today,
Yeah, I'll fire the questions to you and you can just go for it. Yeah. Let's start with the Super League season that has been. We saw history made, didn't we? London Pulse winning the title for the very first time. I mean, they were sensational all season, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, and well deserved. We said all year it's theirs to lose, and I think what was amazing is they didn't falter at all. They picked themselves up through performances through the season. And when it came to crunch time, I mean, they absolutely meant business, didn't they, to go one further and to beat such a solid, experienced side as well, and Loughborough Lightning in the final. It was special to watch. And you say it was the summer, but I'm pretty sure their celebrations went for about 4 months. I think every time I went on Instagram, there was another photo of them winning something. So it was pretty spectacular.
It really was. Are they the team, looking ahead to 2026, are they the team to beat, do you think?
Yeah, I think... they've not had to make many changes through their side. I think once Funmi decided to stay, and you just saw the signings happen one after another then, and that was kind of it. Like, why would you not want to be in a team with Funmi Fadoju? You know, you're going to win things. Liv Sheen, obviously, there as well. I mean, she had her growth in the last 2 years is just incredible. I think what's been interesting is they didn't have to change anything, and yet they still did. They brought in Camo Maseko, a goal attack, but you know, a switch out. They've brought in South Africa's first string goal attack for their second string. So, I mean, it's a really big signing in the reality, which is crazy when you look through their team and the likes of the players that they have. But yeah, I think to have Camo in this league and just sort of the flair she brings and the dominance, amazing.
Yeah, so you mentioned big signings. One of the biggest, I think, in my opinion, is the Mavs. Tamsin Greenway, tell us about your new role. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Coming back to coaching, I was trying to escape and coming back into the crazy world of being a Super League coach. Look, it's change was happening. I'd really enjoyed my time at Mavericks in terms of what we were building and growing and the role I had there. This opportunity came about, and I'm back in the driving seat, which is taken over my life, which I knew it would have been, but I love it. I can't get away from the bit that I really enjoy, which is being on court with the players and being involved in matches.
So when it comes to London Mavericks in 2026, what can we expect?
Hopefully no more injuries. I said
it was tough last year, wasn't it? Last season.
I lost my whole defensive end, and and we had a pregnancy and an appendicitis. I mean, there was challenges. My poor physio was at the end of the year going, never again. We've signed Jamie Van Veek, which I'm really excited about. I actually wanted to get my hands on her a couple of years ago, and it didn't happen. But I think she showed what she's capable of. And in the series, we've got Raz Quashie away with the England side at the moment. And George Inga back in the mix, which, you know, that is a story in itself. 2 years off the court. And, you know, our plan when she came back into our development group last year was to get her back out there. So that's kind of a proud full circle moment.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Cannot wait to see Mavs in action in 2026. Of course, Super Cup starts in February. One other team I do want to mention, it's been a busy signing period, hasn't it, for Manchester Thunder. So they get Elle back, they get Lois back, and they get Nat back. It's massive.
You just missed off Sophie Fawns as well.
Sophie, of course. Yeah.
I want Sophie Fawns. Look, they lost Elmarie van der Beer, the highest scoring shooter in the league.
She's gone down under.
She's gone down under. She was taken to SSN, and it's a bit like, what next? And then Elle Cardwell pops back up there. And I think what's been interesting is Thunder had to get out of jail last year. I'm not sure it helped them. So they were always able to lob the ball into Elmarie. So their 1 point was so high. They had something like, they averaged 9 more 1 points a game than a team like Forest, who had like a Rolene Strucker. So you can see the impact of a tall target shooter. However, it meant that at times they were probably uncharacteristically sloppy with what they could do with that. So I think having Elle back in, who will give them a target but in a different way, will shoot from anywhere, be lethal on the super shot, which is closer, I believe, than the SSN. So that'll be interesting for her. Same for Sophie Fawns. And then, of course, you've put two of the best netball brains in the world together with Lois Pearson and Nat Metcalf. More about how they're all going to play.
Lois Pearson is still so young, Tamsin, but high praise coming from you.
Yeah, one of the best playmakers in the world.
Wow.
She understands the game better than I've seen anyone come through in recent times. Not just what she can do on the ball, but her control off the ball. And it's really interesting when you listen to Helen Housby talk about that and that little relationship. Lois, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way because Helen is world class. Lois makes Helen look even better if that's possible, just because of the work she does on centre pass in the circle, how she opens up the space. I was gutted to see her injured last year because she was just coming into full strides, but it'll be the making of her. I've got very high hopes for Lois Pearson.
Well, speaking of Lois Pearson, we'll of course see her in action for England in Jess Thirlby's squad this weekend and on Wednesday against the Silver Ferns. And speaking of the Silver Ferns, a former New Zealand international will be joining up with the Birmingham Panthers next Super League season in Tiana Metuarau, and I'm delighted to say she joins us right now. Thank you so much for your time on Off the Court podcast. Now, first things first, you're coming over to Super League. You've joined the Birmingham Panthers. Tell us what led you to that decision.
Well, I'm 24 now. I started playing ANZ at 16, so just felt like I definitely knew at the start of this season, my last season with the Pulse, that I wanted to do something different. And I just felt like I really did need a change. I think I played about 120 something ANZ games, and at 24, I feel like it was almost like, how much longer am I going to keep doing this? And so I finished my degree, told my mum that I wanted to go and travel. And I suppose just having had your life planned out from January to December for basically a decade, and at 24, like I felt like I hadn't experienced much in my early 20s, or at least something different from netball, and felt like I didn't really have a ton of off-court stories to tell. So wanted to move to the UK, do lots of travel, meet new people, and just kind of get out of my comfort zone. And I've been here for 2 weeks now and loving it so far.
Well, I mean, you're talking 24. You're talking like Tamsin. She's not a spring chicken anymore.
Me and Jenna looked at each other in disgust at that point, Tiana. I was like, 24, that is not okay.
24, Tiana, you have many, many years ahead on the court as well as off it, let me tell you that. Tamsin, what kind of player in Tiana is Super League getting?
An incredible player. I mean, I was very excited when I knew Tiana was looking to come over to the Super League. Because I think it's fair to say in the past the Super League has attracted either up-and-coming players or players that are finishing off their career from overseas, and especially from probably Australia and New Zealand. So to get a Silver Fern, to get a player who is at 24, not old at all, but very well established, to have that kind of brain and a netball smarts to come into our league is just super, super exciting. And Tiana, interestingly, you're not the only Kiwi leaving the ANZ this year, because now they've opened up the floodgates, and you can tell us a little bit about that rule, but I think you're one of 9 that has left. How has that gone down in the ANZ? Because I understand why you're leaving, but that's a big deal.
Yeah, like some of my closest friends, in fact, one of my best friends is at the Giants now, Whitney. And then, of course, my 2 good mates, and Maddie Gordon and Kelly Jackson, they're heading over to the Firebirds. Te Pai's gone to the Firebirds as well. She's one of my good friends too. And so I think just with everything that has been happening in New Zealand, I feel like the response was almost like now it's going downhill, like the league is going downhill. But actually there's still a ton of talent, really big names, Amelia Andikanasio is still in New Zealand. Like, I feel like the league is still in good hands. We've got current Silver Ferns who are still there and all really young too. But I think it is exciting, and I know that Kelly, Maddie and I, we have all sort of been playing for about the same length, or our careers are sort of, we've been playing together for quite a few years, and I feel like we were all just ready for change. And in regards to the Pulse back in New Zealand, I think the biggest shock is that we all just kind of left at the same time, and it was just a timing thing, really. Mads is 25. And again, like I say, we all started really young. And so to be this young and still and just be seeking this change, I suppose did look a bit odd at the time. But yeah, I didn't really look into the rules that much. I knew that I was just going to come over here. I withdrew from the program so I could do this and focus on my studies and just make sure that it was as seamless as possible and I didn't have to deal with those processes in terms of applying for the dispensation or exemptions and all those sorts of things, because I think it was quite a tedious process to even be able to go overseas. So, yeah.
I think at the end of the day, having this extra international experience, if you like, for the Silver Ferns is only going to strengthen the national team. Before we move on to the national team and what we can expect from this incredible series that begins on Saturday against England, I mean, there's been some drama, Tiana, hasn't there, around head coach Nolene Tarua. She was stood down in September.
Mm-hmm.
She has since been reinstated. There was an investigation that went on after a January this year training camp in Australia. It was cited that there was a psychological unsafe environment. Now, Tiana, this story we've tried to follow closely, haven't we, Tamsin?
Oh, yeah.
It is so confusing from our point of view. I mean, I've heard numerous interviews done with Nolene. She seems to be confused by the situation as well. So what have you made of it all?
Well, I think so I withdrew before that camp in Sydney. Of course, I was looking ahead and wanting to do new things at the end of my ANZ season, but overall, it's just really sad. And I think it's really sad for both parties. And from what I know, I guess I can only really speak to the impact, of course, that it's had on Knowles, but also for my friends. Because I'm still really close with a lot of the Ferns girls, and a lot of my friends are still playing. And I also haven't played for them for about 3 years. So I think the last test that I played was Constellation Cup in 2023, I think. And so it is, I know that it probably is quite consuming in terms of, I know I can speak to, or in regards to my friends, that having all of this noise off the court and representing your country, it's a lot. And I think at this point, I think this is maybe their third tour in the space of a few months. And I think they're all quite tired, and the public haven't been kind to them. My name has been thrown around a lot, my mum's name, and it's just, at the end of the day, like, it is just sport, but the welfare and the mental health, especially of those involved, is paramount, basically. So it's a really unfortunate situation. I'm unsure about the management of it all, and I think at this point it's just a lot of assumption and speculation, and there have been some really terrible things said about the team, which is really unfortunate. And I could only imagine how taxing it is to maintain the pride in representing your country when they also have been saying some really nasty things. And I suppose, and it's just the unfortunate nature of the sport. But to this degree, I definitely say it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiana, you mentioned your mum. Of course, she is part of the backroom staff for the Silver Ferns. I just want to ask you one question. When you heard the phrase psychological unsafe environment, what was your response? Were you surprised by that? Could you understand it?
I think my experience in the Ferns was quite unique because I made the development squad and I was going to camps. I was an official trialist at 16 and I was going to camps at 15. So I feel like I built quite thick skin early and I had to somehow manage to be at that level and in that state of mind as a year 11, as a 15-year-old. And it's it's high performance sport. The trainings are hard, the days are long, the tours are long, and if you're not winning or if the matches are hard and you're not getting the results you want, it does feel like it a bit of a drag at times. Um, Not necessarily a drag, I should say. It just feels really hard
It's
and
hard work, isn't it? If you want to play for your
yeah,
country, you got to work hard.
yeah. But again, I think I can only speak to my own experience. And I did have some really good times, but I did get dropped quite a few times, and I think it was almost just about accepting the situation and what it was at the time, and not trying to dwell on it. Because I definitely went through a phase where I just thought perhaps like I'm not what they want, and that happens, right? But it was sort of about me separating my identity and worth as an athlete from who I am off the court. And, that's why I'm here now. Like, I am very content with where I'm at in my career. I'm not done. I don't think I'm done at international netball. Um, and I think in New Zealand, it's almost like your rite of passage is you play ANZ and you stay in the Silver Ferns for a very long time. And I think the narrative around me coming here is almost like they think I'm like a cop out and I'm just coming here because so on and so on. But I came here because I wanted to. And Sonia's my coach, Sonia McCloma, and our training that we had yesterday was so hard. So it's hard work. Like, it's not something that I'm afraid of. But I do find being here, it's super refreshing. And 10 years in the ANZ, 9 years in the ANZ, and about 9 years in and out of the Silver Ferns environment. I just think I was burnt out, and that's okay. I think at the moment the conversation is, like, why am I not there? Why, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's okay to not to want to do something else
Of course.
other than just netball, and dedicating the next 15 years of my life
Yeah,
to
I think
this thing.
international netball has changed, hasn't it? Like, let's be honest,
Yeah.
like the amount of pressure that's on players, how visible it is now across the world. You're talking about back-to-back calendars. I laughed about the age of 24, but I think the reality is these players are going into squads so young. Because almost like they're the new generation. I all think that will level out. I think you'll get to a point where actually players won't hit into squads until they're sort of early 20s, mid-20s, which will be much better for players. Because otherwise, by the time you're this age, you're like, what else have I got to do? Like, I need a bit of a break. But I think picking up on that, you can see that players have very different experiences depending on what stage they're at, what level they're at, what age they're at.
Yeah.
You talked about the team being under a lot of pressure. It hasn't really affected them, though. I'm quite interested about this because it has been a big international season for them. 3 games against South Africa with that last gas winner. You've then gone to Australia and got beaten badly, picked themselves back up, and then beaten them very well at home. And now you're coming over to England and you've just fitted in two tests against Scotland as well before the Roses. Just how impressed are you by that unit? Because you've got friends in there. They are doing exceptionally well.
Yeah. I watched their game in Scotland, and they're very much just getting on with business. And I think, like, they're doing a really good job at just trying to silence and silence the outside noise, because there's a lot of it, and still after months it's still ongoing. But I didn't see their second game, but I did see that it was a pretty big margin. But again, I feel like it'll be a really competitive match. Or 3 matches.
3.
The next 3 games will be very competitive and tightly contested, and I think the style that England play as well, it just looks. It's simple but effective. And I remember watching a test match last year when they played England, and they just literally just did the most basic attacking plan, and it just worked. And so I'll be really interested to see if any shifts have happened since last year, because England aren't Australia. Like, it's a very different style, but it works for them. And so it'll be interesting to see how they adjust when they do play them this weekend and next Wednesday.
Yes, we cannot wait. Tiana, one player that we keep talking about, the world keeps talking about, she's one of the best, is Grace Nweke. Tell us something about her that we might not know. Why is she so good? What's the secret to her success?
I think it's her confidence. Like, I think at international netball, your confidence can, it can be up, it can be down, but she's just very sure of herself and what it is that she can do on the court. And she always goes back to what it is that makes her the best and the things that she really backs herself in. No one's going to get the ball off her if it's in the air. And she's so strong. And she just has a real presence as well. But I would say that's probably that's her strength. She's strong in the air, like you're not going to move her. And she just is this presence in the back. Like when you see that she's on the court, everyone's throwing themselves at her, trying to get the ball off of her, or they're trying to stop the phase coming into the circle, because it's basically a 100% goal. And even in New Zealand, when we would play the Mystics, it was always about stopping the ball from between Petter and her, of course, but mostly it was just to make it so difficult on the outside that it couldn't get in the air, because once it was up there, yeah, unless you're Kelly Jackson, then you can compete with her. But yeah, she's just a force to be reckoned with, really, and she's just very, very confident, knows what it is that she can do on the court.
We very much look forward to seeing Grace in action on Saturday, Sunday and Wednesday. And Tiana, we look forward to having you join us on the side of the court on Saturday at the Copper Box. Thank you so much for joining us on Off the Court. And we'll see you on Saturday.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
See you
you
on Saturday.
Tamsin, we just spoke to Tiana Metuarau, of a former Silver Fern player. She'll, of course, be joining us on the court at the Copper Box on Saturday as part of our Sky Sports coverage for the international series between England and New Zealand. Tamsin, some strong words coming from Tiana in regards to, of course, Nolene Turua, who is the head coach of the Silver Ferns. She was stood down in September. She's been reinstated. She has, however, not travelled with the team over to the Northern Hemisphere for whatever reasons. It's a very confusing scenario. Just hearing Tiana talk about it, though, from her point of view as a former Silver Fern, I mean, what did you make of what she was saying?
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because this whole situation has been a mess from start to finish. I mean, so much miscommunication for something that's played out so publicly, to have so little information around it and actual clarity. Even hearing from Nolene herself in one of her interviews saying she wasn't aware of an investigation, or, it's been so confusing. So I think any player that's come and spoke about it, it's been difficult, right, to put into place. Hearing from Tiana there, I think she was really open about her experiences. And I think I've kind of tried to look at this from both sides, because I've been an international player. I've been under coaches that I've loved. I've been under coaches that I haven't liked. And I've coached, and I've been in teams where you're winning and teams that you're not winning. And I've had many tricky situations. So I've been quite intrigued by all of it. Firstly, I think I'm absolutely gutted for Nolene, because regardless of what went down in a training camp, and that seems to be what's coming out of this, your whole legacy shouldn't be pulled through the mud from this, and it's becoming a very tricky place to be a coach in this era now. Secondly, listening to Tiana, it was really interesting because she drew a lot on her experiences, but even started the interview with her being so young. And I think this is what we have to remember, that there are so many pressures on an international player. Your calendar is jam-packed. You are constantly under pressure to perform and to be better and push your body and mind to limits that you've never ever been. The game's closer than ever, so gone are the days where you turn up, win a few games and have one big game against Australia, like all top 4 teams. We heard from Jess Thirlby in the media day, and she said, no one knows now at the top 5 who's going to win. So you've got all this going on, and a great coach once said to me, it's really easy to get picked. It's very hard to stay there. And, that really resonated with me, because once you're in, it is a dog-eat-dog world. And I don't mean that in the terms of your culture and how you behave with your mates. They are your mates. But you are constantly having to be at your very best every day. The mental strain of that is huge. And I do think we've got a generation of players now where, because well-being is forefront and centre, and it absolutely should be, the lines get very blurred between how far you can push athletes, where the relationships start and begin, the communication piece, getting that right between, you know, I even find it as a Super League coach, getting the relationships right with 10 different players is exhausting. And, you know, and I would say we've got a really happy culture, but every player in that team will have a different experience across the season. So one might have the season of their life and the other one might say it was the worst season of their life, and the results were still the same. It's just how they experienced it. So I think we've got into very tricky ground when we've put words like psychologically unsafe. I think we have to establish what a high performance environment's like, and you have to remember, and I say this to pathway players all the time now and their parents, it's not for the faint hearted. And I'm not saying that's what's gone on here at all, but I am saying there has to be a level of there has to be a mental level that you're prepared to push yourself through if you want to play anything.
Understanding as well, understanding of what's required of you.
Yeah. And understanding that there will be times you walk out of something where it feels awful, and that might be a month tour, and you've got to then pick yourself up and decide whether you want to go back into camp that following weekend and do it all again, and you don't know if it's going to be any different. And that might be because you're not playing, it might be because you're injured, it might be because the coach said something to you in a way that you don't like, it might be because your mate's playing above you, it might be because you read something on social media. I mean, the list is endless. So I think we've got to be very mindful now about how we move forward with this, because netball is more everyone can see it. You can't hide away from it. We've had a real shift.
More eyeballs on the sport. It's growing in popularity.
Absolutely. You know, everything I say has an impact. There's a you know, there'll be someone that comes back and goes, I don't agree with that, or you say something slightly that you know what you mean, but it's not translated that way. And that's how coaching is. And I must admit, I did take a step back when this happened to Nolene and think, Jesus, that is someone's career that is being played out very publicly with no information.
Her career, her personal life as well. It's putting her whole character in question.
Yeah, and you know, you have to be very careful, because you do, as a coach, at times lose it. You know, and I don't mean. It might just be a shouting, and this has happened in the history of time. Like, I love my football, and you know, across all sports, that, you know, it gets laughed about the time Alex Ferguson threw a boot across the room or whatever, and it was like, hang on a second, if you did that now, I'm not sure you'd get away with the same level. You have it with commentators. You have it all over the game. It has changed, and the world is constantly changing and moving. And as a coach, you have to grow with that, and that is tricky. You know, as you get older and the players get younger. Those kind of conversations become even harder. The biggest thing I will say on all of this is we've got to be able to communicate. You've got to be able to bring your experience to the table with very little, unless you've experienced it. You can appreciate it, but you can't necessarily say that was right or wrong because that was your experience. Because otherwise we're going to just get into this whole he said, she said thing. Yeah. And I don't know where that ends.
I think exactly what you said there, the whole scenario for me, that the key thing is communication across all levels. I just think that has been missing. One interesting thing as well, Tiana said that she expects this Silver Ferns team not to be distracted by the off-court drama that has been occurring since September. We've seen that down under when they played Australia. However, we yesterday, and this is being recorded on Wednesday, so Tuesday this week, we were at the media day with the England players. Tamsin, you got to catch up with two of the very best at the minute in Helen Housby and Funmi Fadoju, two England internationals who are very confident taking on the Silver Ferns.
It's international season, and I have two of the biggest names in netball at the moment. Sat with me, Helen Housby and Funmi Fadoju. Welcome both.
Hello.
Hello. That was very nice and shy. Listen, New Zealand are coming up. It's going to be a massive series. But more interesting is the squad. Helen, I heard you call it a blockbuster arrangement of players coming back in. You've got Beth Cobden back in, you've got Elle Cardwell coming, along with the likes of you guys as well. How special was it to see that announcement and walk into that room?
It's awesome. I think even just being in training camps with everyone has been really special, and I think we've got a great blend of old experience and the young blood coming up. And it's been really nice to kind of see the connections build, and for people to come into the group and just it feels like they've been here forever. Some of the really young girls.
They've done really well together, haven't we?
They have, and it's been really special. And I think for me, selfishly, it's nice to have, you know, Beth Cobden, Eleanor, like these old girls who I've got so many memories with, and to kind of have those girls be part of the leadership now, and, you know, taking this England team on, it feels really special.
Where do you sit in that, Funmi? Because you are an absolute superstar, but you always try and tell me you're one of the young ones and you have all these aunties looking after you.
I'm actually pretty old right now. If my back says anything.
Don't say that.
I don't. I feel like right now, I'm just in the middle, I think, and like, obviously we have a lot of experience now, haven't we? Like, maybe more than others, but I feel like it's a good mixture of talent and like potential. So much like we have new bloods and a lot of like new exciting different setups now that we can use, and I feel like it's going to be a good blend, and I feel like that's where we're going next is going to be amazing.
Well, let's talk about where we're going next then, because it's been a year since you guys faced the Silver Ferns. Take you back to October last year. It was a 2-1 win. There was no game,
wasn't it?
Yeah, there was, but it was a nail biter, guys.
Yeah.
There was not one game out of those 3 that ended any bigger than 5 goals. So we had to sit and watch that. Are you going to put us through that same experience?
I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
Hopefully not.
You know what?
It'd be nice if it was a bit further apart,
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't mind that.
I actually quite like the close games. I think
I feel like it makes it more interesting for the audience, for our fans, and you know what, for us as well.
and it feels more exciting when you win and go into the changing rooms.
Exactly. It
And,
means more.
It does.
How can you do that big roar, Helen, if it's not a goal for goal?
That's so true.
Exactly.
I know. If it's a 10-goal win, who cares?
Yeah, easy stuff.
Well, let's talk about New Zealand then, because I would say they're pretty unpredictable. Aussies, you always know what you're getting. Jamaica now, when they're at full strength, you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
The Kiwis have just come off the back of that series against Australia. They got smashed really in the first 2 tests, brought it around within a week to beat them in those last 2 and take it to a decider. What is it like stepping out against those guys? Is it just the style of play that makes them so unpredictable?
It is, and I think, you know, something I found interesting was the way they played in Australia versus how they played in New Zealand, and obviously they've got a lot going on in their own camp at the minute, and I think, playing against an unpredictable team can be dangerous, I think, because you don't really know what's going to step out on court, but I think we just have to not let that affect what we do and our processes, and hopefully we can be steady, locked in from the very first whistle. And we'll face whichever New Zealand show up, but I've got absolutely no doubt that they're going to bring it to us. I don't think they're going to be,
Are they? Yeah.
No, I don't think they'll be taking back steps, or they won't be looking at their absolute best. I think they're a quality side, and they've obviously had quite a few games now, so I'm expecting them to bring their absolute best, which can beat anyone on their day. So we're going to have to really give it to them.
One thing that is predictable is grace. You told me, Funmi, you love a holding shooter. So what does that look like? I mean, you must love coming up against it, right?
I feel like it's going to be a hard competition. I think like going up against Grace, you know, you have that solid hold. You know, she can also move a lot. She can come up the circle, but at the end of the day, she is known for her hold at the top of the circle. And we figured out a few setups to go against that, but I won't say anything just yet. I love playing against her. I've been playing with her against her for the last couple of years when I was younger as well. So it's a little bit of a rivalry there. So we'll see.
Helen, we know how tactically you stop her, you shut down the feeders, you outscore them, you confuse the space. But you've played with her all season, so you've got to give us some tricks or some secrets. What does she not like?
Yeah, what does she not like?
I mean, she doesn't like. She's the same as me and most shooters. She doesn't like annoying goalkeepers. So the more annoying you can be, the more unnecessary. Like I feel like most shooters don't enjoy that. And Grace is she's a nice person. So I feel like she doesn't like non-nice people on the court. So
we're nice off court. It needs to be nice.
It doesn't matter what you do on the court.
Nothing's wrong on court.
That's
you just
fine.
leave it there. So there you go. You can go back and tell them as long as you're not nice to her, you'll be fine.
Anything?
She likes to hit the ball. Obviously, she hits the ball on the post. So
What's that all about?
I think it just became like a thing for her. And to be honest, I don't think she even really cares either way if she does it. It's just that she does it if it's there to be done. If that
Funmi,
makes
challenge for you then. I just want you to
sense.
bash it out when she goes to hit it. In your face.
I think that's actually
maybe you should start doing it.
We're like, we can both do this.
So New Zealand aside, this starts a journey, doesn't it? Because basically we're heading towards the Commonwealth Games. I think if all goes well, this will be your 4th Commonwealth Games, Helen.
Oh God. Yeah.
This will be your first, Funmi.
It feels like you should have been to more than just one World Cup.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I was helping you prepare for it.
You nearly got picked. You were like,
one of those close ones. But you know what? My time came. So.
It is really interesting, and I feel like sometimes you forget that people have really different experiences going into these big competitions, and I think kind of getting everyone on the same page, or at least instilling a bit of wisdom on how to deal with certain things is important, because it is completely different. It's completely different netball. It's different to playing a series. You're playing, games after games after games. There's way less rest. There's much more media. You have to be really on top of your recovery. Like, there are so many things that go into it, and like the village is really fun, and like there's distractions, and there's so much going on that's separate to the actual netball.
Hang on a minute. What kind of distractions? Are we talking food hall or other sports?
Food hall, well, depends.
Okay.
But it depends. Yeah, there's just a lot going on, and there's games rooms, and there's there's pools, and there's just things happening where it's just different, and it's exciting, and it's part of why we love sport, and it's nice to go to a multi-sport event like that. But you do have to manage yourself and know that you are there to win, and put your best foot forward. So I'll be keeping the young girls in check.
Yeah, please. Can you make a list? I saw Fumi's eyes like, a games room.
Wow, I want to go.
Funmi, with that in mind, how special would it be to play out this season and get to the commies?
It'll just be so special. I feel like to go to your first ever Commonwealth Games, it's just an experience, isn't it? Like you said it yourself, like meeting new athletes, different sports, getting to do so many different things, and obviously going out there and representing your country on one of the biggest stages. It's just an amazing opportunity, and I just want to take it with both hands. So I'm just excited. I'm a little bit nervous now.
We met the Queen my first Com Games in
so
Glasgow.
Expectations,
The King went there.
I didn't get to meet the Queen. Funmi.
Well, technically it was Jade, but we were like 2 meters away, like taking selfies and stuff. Yeah. It was all the captains got to meet the Queen. Yeah.
Right. These next 3 tests that you've got, and then you've got obviously Jamaica and South Africa. I think you can do some catching up about all this stuff. But listen, before we get there, there's the internationals to play, and then of course we've got a domestic season to play as well. You'll be with London Pulse, you'll be with Swifts. Helen, unless you've been under a rock, everybody wants Funmi to go out to Australia.
Myself included.
There we go. Okay. Explain. What team can she play for?
Who wouldn't want Funmi on your team? Like, it's a no-brainer, to be honest. I think, she offers so much, and you offer multiple positions at world-class level, so I think every team would want you. I understand Fumi's position, and being at London Pulse, and you obviously just won the league and stuff, so I'd love to have her out in SSN full stop, but I mean, if you came to my team, that would be great. But I think the best players, it's cool to see them go up against the world's best, so I think one day she'll be there, but whoever gets her will be very lucky.
Did they talk about her out there?
Everyone talks about it. I mean, to be fair, there's quite a lot of gossip, but
anything else you want to share?
No, there's nothing else I want to share, but she's obviously gossip worthy, so watch this space. I feel like you'll be out there soon.
Funmi, I'm not going to ask you the question because we talk it all the time, but you've got a title to defend with London Pulse, and our Manchester Thunder, Helen's old team, they're not looking bad this season. You're going to beat them?
I feel like it's going to be a tough one, but I kind of like that. I feel like we needed a bit more competition over there.
Oh, it was too easy.
Oh, wait a minute.
Sorry.
It was hard.
We heard it from Funmi first. Everyone else is rubbish, guys.
Everyone else needs to try harder.
I'm joking.
I just feel like obviously London Pulse is trying to get that second win, but we'll just have to see what happens, because obviously there's stronger teams this year, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard.
Their attack end's pretty strong.
Their attack end is very strong.
Are you getting some lessons in about Elle this year? Are you getting Elle Carver? Are you understanding?
Learning what we can now.
Yeah, good.
Write some notes for
Sneaky.
Sam, but that's all that's behind the scenes.
Remember what Helen said, no shooters like mean people, so it's fine.
I think maybe give me a few more years, I might get to that level. I'm learning from Hallie right now.
Good. So final question then, because selfishly we don't want to lose Funmi here because we get to watch her each week,
so
absolutely smashing it. So if you could give me 3 things that is rubbish in Australia that she'd absolutely hate, what would they be?
Oh, well, I know you don't like animals and snakes, spiders, but in saying that, in Sydney, I don't think I've ever seen a single snake. Or I see more spiders at my home in England than I do in Sydney.
Okay.
But there are obviously deadly animals in Sydney and in Australia in general. There are sharks. So that's one thing.
I can't swim, so I'm not worried about that part. I'll be on land.
Well, that also could be an issue because sometimes they do swimming as part of the training, so you might be forced into swimming. You might not like that. What else? The languages, like they don't. I don't think they get the sarcasm quite as much, but then they abbreviate everything and they say silly words, silly phrases that takes some getting used to, and then they'll take the mick out of your accent constantly.
Yeah.
Sounds awful.
It does sound awful.
I'm about to cry. I don't.
But it's really warm, like the beaches.
And on that note, interview is over. Listen, guys, it's amazing to have you both in the room. We cannot wait to see you perform against the Silver Ferns and for the rest of the international season. We're expecting big things this year. That blockbuster team looks very exciting. So enjoy and good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I mean, Helen, you have me on the snakes and the spiders. My mum, I can actually say, has been bitten by a brown snake. In terms of the British sarcasm and humour, we do understand it. We just simply don't find it funny, Helen. And shortening words, what do you mean? Like servo, Chrissy, I'm going to chuck a sickie. We do that sometimes, don't we, Tamsin?
Well, I lived in Brisbane, Vegas, so.
Bris Vegas. Okay, England. Let's chat England. Fierce rivalry, of course, with New Zealand. We'll get onto that in a minute. But first, team selection. I think when you come to internationals, international sport, there's always going to be question marks over who the head coach, who's selected, what players are selected, particularly when it comes to the mid-court for this series. There's been question marks over it. Are you questioning any selections?
No, I actually think it's a really good selection. And I wouldn't say that lightly. I think Imogen Allison would be in that mid-court if she was fit. She's not fit yet. I'm sure will make a return at some point. I think, look, we are 8 months out of the Commonwealth Games. You've got an opportunity against the Kiwis, you've got Jamaica, and then you've got South Africa. And then that's it. Then it's Super League season. A lot will happen between now and those 8 months, but you've got to play a team that you think you can take forward into that because there's not enough time otherwise. And I think what you have to understand, having a great Super League season does not necessarily always equate to, you should be in the England squad starting. And there's loads of different elements to that as well. And I know there was mid-court chat about Liz Scholes. I'm a huge fan of Liz Scholes.
I mean, her father, Paul, put out a tweet or an Instagram maybe questioning it. I mean, it was a little bit under the radar, but the assumption was he was perhaps questioning why she wasn't selected.
Yeah, and look, firstly, brilliant that we've got actual chat about selection because we've never been in a position where we are constantly checking and challenging who's been picked. That's started to gradually happen over the last few seasons, which is great. It means we've got depth. The second part for it is that it's, whenever you're talking about one person being selected, you've got to think about who you're dropping. So that's the big deal right here. So take Liz Scholes as an example, and I think we can talk about it because they were quite vocal, her and her dad and other people have been very vocal about it. She's had a brilliant Super League season. She's still super young. She really only offers one out-and-out position yet. She can definitely play centre, but it's not what she's doing every week. So she's only offering one position, which means if you're going to take her in that squad as an out-and-out wing attack, you haven't then got room for certain other people. If you're one position, you have to be the starter. Lois Pearson came into the squad last year, absolutely smashed it against Australia and New Zealand, showed why she is one of the greatest playmakers around at the moment. She was out injured this year. You've got to get her back and see if she can repeat that because...
I mean, it wasn't a bad start to her international career, was it? Beating Australia in their backyard on her England debut.
Yeah, and then going into the Tanni Jameson tournament and winning that, and then going into the Horizon Series. I know they didn't win that, but they were still playing against a really good Jamaican side with probably not our full strength across the board. So you can't overlook that, and I think that's what we have to be really mindful of. I love opinions, you know that, and I love everybody having a comment about something, but I genuinely think Nat Metcalfe at her best when she comes back into Jamaica, if she is at her best, why would you ever drop her? She's not Metcalfe, even for the leadership. Yeah. You can't have a fully aging squad. You can't have a fully youth squad. You have to have a mix. And this has it. 2 debutantes. I think we've all been calling for Jazz Brown. Amazing. Looks like she's going to be a bit of a starter in this series as well. Fantastic. And who better to go against than Grace Nweke? You've got 5 players that were in the World Cup final. You've got 2 that were reserves, Amy Carter and Hallie Adio. And then you've sprinkled it with Sasha Glasgow coming back into that mix. Talked about Lois. So this for me is quite exciting. We've really sort of attacked the areas that needed working on, the goalkeeper and that centre wing attack position. And we've got the big players back, the big stars back. And, you know, who's going to be battling for that shooter spot? Like, Elle Cardwell comes back in.
Cannot wait.
I don't think she's taken Liv Sheen's spot at the moment. So I think they're more interesting conversations to me. And
So how do you see Elle Cardwell then? How do you see her fit into this team?
Oh, it depends whether she's fit or not. I think that's the reality. She's had a massive year, obviously coming back from her injury, hasn't been able to play out in SSN, has come back to Thunder. Elle at her best is on the court. But Liv Sheen has held down the fort while she's not been around. So I just love the fact we've got variety, because when you look at like a Ferns team, Grace Nweki goes off the court, it's
different.
meh. Whereas, you know, Liv Sheen goes off the court and Elle Cardwell
Choices.
comes on, you go, oh, hello.
Yeah.
And that's what Australia have. And that's where they do thrive against others, because in those big competitions, they've been able to do it before. They've been able to change one key position, and it's made all the difference.
Yeah, and I mentioned it before, this fierce rivalry that really is growing. It's getting stronger, isn't it, between the Roses and the Silver Ferns. I feel that England do come into this on a bit of a high, don't they? Because they beat them, as we know. They won the series last year, and I think it went over into January, didn't it? They performed so well in that. They, as you mentioned, have some of the big players back, Helen Housby being one of the biggest, one of the best. I feel like they could really have the edge over the Silver Ferns team.
Yeah.
Grace Nweki, yes, she's brilliant, but they've got to be coming into this full of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And their styles match up. You know, we play well against that box defence. We understand how to break it. Funmi Fadoju loves playing on a target shooter. Give her Grace Nweki, let her have a crack. I mean, there's so many positives.
Can't wait to
of-
see Funmi mean as well. I don't know what that looks like.
Mean Funmi. I think, look, the reality is, though, you know, even in the last 4 tests, there's not been a game separated by more than 5 goals. So we're in for a bit of a nail biter. I can't, you know, I don't think, because of the target ends, I'm not sure you're going to get necessarily blowout games unless one person can't handle the defensive structure. That'll be interesting. But I think England need to stamp their authority in this test. Even if it's not 3-0, they need to come out with the win, with the 2-1, because you need to understand the style of the Kiwis. And once you
Do you
get on
think it
top
could be
of
a
it,
whitewash though?
right, England have the team to do that, but so do New Zealand. And I think you have to, it'd be more about who matches. I always say this, but it's boring chat, but the reality is, New Zealand, you know what you're getting. You're getting Grace Nweki at one end, so you've got to find ways to stop that. And it's not her, it's stop that feed. And then down the other end, you've got to deal with the New Zealand box-style defence, which is, at its best, incredible. You've also got to be able to shoot over Kelly Jackson and Hall in there now as well, and Karen Berger just all over you. There is so many elements to this. But it's exciting for England because they know where to get at them. And at their best, England against the New Zealand side, they do perform very well.
Well, one thing we know, it is going to be tight. It's going to be extremely entertaining. I think it'll go down to the wire. We cannot wait. We are on air 4 p.m. for the build-up on Saturday, Sky Sports Mix and YouTube. And then on Sunday, we are on air at 2:30, same channel. And then, of course, Wednesday the 19th, join us from 6:30 p.m, Sky Sports Mix, YouTube. We cannot wait. Tamsin, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being on Off the Court podcast.